We are down. We are not out. Joe Sansom, another Jack and Joe show. It feels like we've been doing one every day this this month. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. At the time of speaking, I've just got back from Liverpool. Obviously, Jack, you got back a fair few hours ago, thanks to the
4:15
coach.
a.m.
Yeah, rough. You know what? Before we talk about the result, performance, anything like that, I just want to say I thought it was a great trip. I thought it was a fun away end, and I thought that it was great to see an away end full of Fulham fans at Anfield, which has been few and far between over the years. Before we get into talking about the match itself, a word from our sponsor. And for those that weren't there last night, you may have watched the game at a Green King pub. And there's another few big games coming up, which you can catch on the box at a big screen, Green King pub. We've obviously got the SW6 Derby this Saturday at 12:30. I don't need to remind you. We'll be previewing that game in a minute. And obviously the second leg against Liverpool, where we are still firmly in the tie in a couple of weeks' time. If you are to download the Green King Sports app, you can receive 10% off every single drink whenever there's a game on. And if you're doing Dry January, as we said in the last episode, there's a range of non-alcoholic drinks as well, or low alcohol, if that floats your boat. But Jack, let's get into last night, where we lost 2-1. And it's the sort of thing where before the game, it's a result that I would have taken. I'm not saying I'd have been like, oh, amazing, thank goodness we're one goal down. But the sort of thing where it's like, we're in the tie, we're going into a home leg. And at home, I believe, as do you, as we've discussed, that we can beat anyone on our day. What do you make of it after seeing the actual performance in both halves? Because let's face it, it did change.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to gauge. Sort of, I haven't really had time to sort of think about it. It's probably the first time I've actually thought about the night in proper detail while speaking with you here. I thought I was shocked to go 1-0 up, to be fair. I just thought it was one of those things where you don't it just doesn't happen. That sort of thing doesn't happen. But it was actually a really well taken goal from Willian. I may have had a couple of alcoholic beverages or a few more than a couple, and I was not really coherent at all for the whole first half, really. But Willian scored, and it was one of those Hasenhüttl moments where you celebrate and you go, whoa, just calm down, because there's so much time to go, not even in this game, but we got another game as well. Upon reflection, I thought Fulham weren't as disciplined as I thought we might be, and that was quite frustrating. We were still playing out from the back, which is fine. That's the way we play. We were still taking risks in the final, in our defensive half. And did we invite pressure? I'm not sure. I thought we did well at times to get out of pressurizing situations. I don't think the likes of Paulinho had a great game. I thought Harrison Reed was really good. Pereira, for me, again, he did well to set up the goal, but not brilliant. Willian's goal was brilliantly taken. Castagna had a good game. Tosin didn't have a good game. Diop had a good game. Robinson had an okay game. Leno had a great game.
Yeah.
Bobby, obviously, we can come on to that Bobby chance, but I'm of the position where I'm not going to slander him for not passing it to AP. I don't think if he plays that ball, I don't think AP gets on the end of it anyway. But Joe, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because you were probably more sober than I was. Therefore, you might have a better take on things.
Yeah, although let's just say I don't think there'll be much Madry left in the brick this afternoon. It was a great time, and it was good to see quite a few people there as well. Few people that watched the videos as well, which is obviously fantastic. Jack, you were at the world famous Arkles. Don't blame you for a second, mate.
It was unbelievable.
Fantastic establishment. First half, really impressed. I thought it was a really good. Let's face it wasn't a mid block as we normally deploy. It was a low block, and I think it really worked. I thought the Liverpool had very little space, created very, very few actual meaningful chances. And I really enjoyed watching it. We didn't do too much going forward. The goal, as you say, was really, really well worked from both Pereira and then especially from Willian.
Brilliantly taken.
Regardless of the finish, just the footwork to lead into that position in a really crowded penalty area where he had so much to do when he received the ball is fantastic. From the away end at the time, whether it be due to drunkenness, whether it be due to lack of depth perception at the other end, I thought it was an absolutely horrific goal at the time. I thought it would have been scrambling around everywhere. I don't think I understood what was going on.
No, same.
And so I couldn't believe it when it hit the back of the net, same as you, Jack. And we go in at half time, and we had a few slightly hairy moments where Tosin gave the ball away a few times in dangerous areas. I thought the Plenia wasn't as good on the ball as he normally is, but I thought that he won most of his duels, which is what we expect. And Harrison Reed had a stormer. And obviously we saw him sort of hobbling off at half time. And I was really concerned about that. We come back out second half, and I think we get a warning when Gravenberch fired wide from just outside the box.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, I think we got lulled into a slight false sense of security after that when we had a couple of chances on the break. But the way that game was going, Liverpool were going to score. And I think, in all honesty, we had to make subs earlier. I thought that Reed started to look like he was lacking a little bit of fitness. Silva's come out and said that he was not feeling too well on the day of the game. It happens. He got a knock in the first half, but he gave it away quite cheaply for that equaliser. We win the ball back initially, and, it's one of those where just get it gone. But it happens. It happens. I'm not going to slate any of the players because then, Tosin, you don't turn your back to the ball. That's the first thing here. But at the same time, the way it loops in is very unfortunate for Fulham.
It's a 1 in a million, that is.
I mean, from the away end, I didn't know it deflected again.
No, it looked like a stormer.
I thought it looped in a slightly weird fashion, but I thought it was a crazy goal. And so when I left the ground, I was thinking, I'll see it back. And I was then heads on Pluto, obviously, when I saw the deflection. Here's the one thing that I am disappointed from the game is that equaliser goes in. This is my issue, is that we've been to Anfield a month ago and we lost our heads and conceded 2 in 2 minutes. It's not the only time it's happened. Chelsea at home, Arsenal away.
United away last season.
It's not just a thing from this season. It's been a general trend, especially against the top 6 clubs. And that is the time you make a sub. That is the time you slow the game down. That is the time you do some of the dark arts, which we're doing quite well in the first half. But this is not the time when you kick off, hoof the ball straight back to Liverpool, and then don't get a foot on the ball until it's 2-1. Then you make the changes. It doesn't make sense to me. And that is my one complaint from the game. And the reason it annoys me is because it's happened before. That being said, I thought the second goal was quite well worked. I don't really have anything to comment on from a defensive point of view. I think Tosin, he was sort of behind Gakpo. He should have been in front of him, but I thought it was quite well worked, personally.
I was speaking to your dad, actually, on the way back from Craven Cottage, and he just said that he thought that we were just completely out of shape.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this is what I'm saying, Gakpo was goal side, and it actually was quite a simple finish in the end. And usually if you get everyone behind the ball, you're going to basically try and get a block in on that shot. And it just, it felt like we were very disorganized. The attack was too quick. And it did feel like December all over again, really. Just really naive, actually. And that's probably the one gripe I have with the performance as well. And I think, if we're seeing trends of this, it's very, very worrying, especially away from home. Just shut up shop for a bit. Just completely nullify the opposition. Just try and at least get 2-3 minutes where you just have a breather. Make a change. But I can't sit here and slate the team for their efforts this in the game and in the season. It was that one moment, of course, and and obviously Leno. Now we have to speak about 2 really, really big saves. If they'd made it 3-1 and 4-1, we'd be really miserable and we'd be probably out the tie. We're not out the tie, 2-1 down. We were to 1-0 down. We were to Derby and we turned it around. 3-1 down to Juventus and we turned it around. I mean, it is doable. And the opposition in Liverpool, yes, they'll be tricky, but this is the chance now. We're at the Cottage. Bring the game to them. Really make it a sort of a cauldron atmosphere. And I'm now speaking to, I know we'll get onto it next week because that's when we're actually going to preview the game, but really make some noise. Bring all your effort. And I hope the club do something good like a tifo. Actually, you mentioned a tifo a couple of weeks ago. That would be a great idea. Scarves, not clappers, but just something that will just raise the roof a little bit and give Liverpool bloody hell, we're in an atmosphere. Because last night at Anfield, whatever, you sing, you never walk alone, but I never felt like I was in some sort of cauldron semi-final atmosphere. I thought it was very, very tame. And that's just sort of, Jurgen Klopp's actually referenced that this season and said, the atmosphere at the Anfield has been not good enough. And I didn't think last night was anything special at all, really. On to Chelsea, the small matter of the Southwest London Derby, SW6 Derby at the Bridge in literally 2 days' time. It's a quick turnaround. We weren't that fussed about this game because of the magnitude of last night, but now it is sort of, 48-ish hours before kickoff, less than that now. What day is it? Thursday, yeah. So we really are in match day -1 territory almost.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, and what would you change? And would you change quite a lot given we only played yesterday?
Yeah, it's a very strange situation because after the Chelsea game, we've got a 2-week break. So I guess it just depends on how players are feeling after yesterday, where they gave so much. And I do want to make that clear because I feel like before I was focusing quite a lot on the negatives. I sort of said my piece on Twitter as well that I was so proud of the first half performance. Like I thought it was perfect for what the game was going to be like, where Liverpool are going to bring the game to us. And we just have to sit in and take our chances when we get them. And we nearly even took a second chance. We nearly went 2-0 up. 2-1, we're still competing the game, and I feel very positive about it. Chelsea won't be feeling positive about their deficit that they've got to overcome against Middlesbrough. And they've been playing quite badly for a while. And they had a couple of positive results in a row, beating Palace, beating Luton, but both sort of scraping through, getting over the line just. They're creating a lot of chances whenever they play. That is one thing to say that even against Middlesbrough, I think Cole Palmer missed 3 massive chances alone.
I don't like Cole Palmer. I'm sorry. I thought his attitude stinks. When you lose a game of that, you don't just
storms off. Yeah.
Imagine I don't like Chelsea. That's fine. Everyone knows that. Yeah. But if I was a Chelsea fan and I saw Palmer go straight down the tunnel at a 1-0 defeat to Borough, I'd be Tyrone furious. I can't believe it. Like, honestly.
Well, this is the thing. Like,
terrible attitude.
We don't like Chelsea. We don't like Chelsea fans, but they're football fans that have travelled all the way up the country for a massive game. Absolutely. You go and thank them. I don't care what the score is. You go and thank them. By the way, love the reaction of the players coming over at the end yesterday. It was just
that was nice.
Appreciation and almost like, come on, we can do it in the second leg. Anyway, to answer your original question, Jack, what do I think the team will be tomorrow, Saturday? Well, I think there will be some changes, and I think that there has to be purely due to fitness levels, I'm guessing. I would happily keep the back 4 the same. And the reason that I say that is because I wouldn't want to throw Ream straight back in yet.
What about Tete coming in?
That is the one change that is possible. But because Castagne played so well yesterday, it would only be if he's not feeling up to doing the full 90. If he can do it, I'd want him to actually keep his place because I was very impressed yesterday.
I think I'd actually start Tete.
Okay.
He played really well last time. And, given he played 90 Castagna, it does feel as though we have saved Tete for this game.
Yeah.
I don't think it would make too much sense to start him again, risk him getting injured maybe for that. I think it would start him against Liverpool, but that's my only argument to the back 4. But
I think that's fair though, because we have 2 good options for right back, and that's the beautiful thing now is that, let's face it, I don't think we're going to be too much better or worse depending on which of those profiles play. Castagne, you would think slightly more offensive. I mean, we haven't seen it too much because I think he's been great defensively. But agree. I mean, the midfield for this one, I think that, Palhinha obviously starts. Are you okay?
There's some news. I mean, it's not massive news. Newcastle at home in the FA Cup, Saturday the 27th of January at 7 p.m. kickoff.
7 p.m?
Have they chose it for TV? It is. It's on ITV. ITV4. Why are they showing it on ITV4? Why not ITV1? Oh. Well, I mean, it's a good fixture. We will be there.
Yes. It'll be good. It'll be good. Anyway, sorry. Palhinha. Reed, to me, looked knackered. And for that reason, I would start Kearney.
Yeah.
Pereira. But I have to say that I was a little bit underwhelmed with his second half yesterday. First half, I thought he was better. Missed some easy passes. But I'd go with him. With the lack of Iwobi, I don't think we have much choice, in all honesty. And then the front 3, still go with Willian, still go with Jimenez. Right wing, I think Wilson.
Yeah. Just on Harry Wilson, that free kick at the end. Oh, frustrating. I know you're on mute. You've got.
Sorry, I had a cough. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I felt yesterday when that free kick came in. I was sick to my stomach because it was awful. We had one final chance to get in the box. Barely made the box, did it? I think it might have even hit the wall. I can't remember. It was awful. Bobby Reed is a player that we haven't really gone into detail on. But Jack, I'm not just talking about his position in the start of the second half where he shot rather than square it. but there was a few times that people have picked up on where maybe miscontrolled it or attacks ended with him. And to be honest, I agree with it, but I'm not going to write Bobby off just because of that game. And we shouldn't forget he was a fantastic performer against Arsenal and scored the winner just a couple of weeks ago, and the winner against Rotherham last week as well. And he's got a role to play in this team going into the future. I maybe agree that, if we want to progress, we need an improvement on our right wing in general. And I don't just mean him compared to Wilson as well. I don't feel like they've got the star quality that someone like Willian has and offers on the other side. But that being said, part of the reason that I'd start Wilson here isn't because of Bobby's performance, just rotation.
And give us a bit more impetus going forward, because we know what Bobby brings defensively. And let's just touch on Bobby quickly. I mean, this is a player who was at Bristol City and at Cardiff, and he was a goal-scoring striker. And he joins Fulham. And obviously he comes in as a striker, but he's turned into this like utility man who can play anywhere across the pitch, really. We spoke about it before, but not only does he contribute well on the pitch, giving 7 out of 10 performances each time he plays, but he scores goals as well. He scored the winner against Arsenal. He scored numerous goals last season, the previous season, in promotion campaigns and seasons like that. In the Premier League under Parker in the lockdown season, he scored against Everton and West Brom, I seem to remember as well. He's a very, very, very good player. And I think it's another example. I mean, he's not the best player you're ever going to watch in the whole world. It's another example of how Marco Silva gets the best out of players. He's gone, look, Bobby, we actually think you're not only a goal scorer, but you run your socks off defensively. Yeah. You could do a job for us. And there's been times where he's filled in at right back and at left back. And I just... Even under Parker, when Parker was playing that slightly more defensive system, Bobby was brilliant. So I can't sit here, and I know that people have had an issue of, they were compared to the Harry Kane against Croatia. I think that's ridiculous.
On that, mate.
Yeah, he's offside anyway. Don't get me started. Honestly, I think that's a bit far-fetched. But overall, I would love nothing more. Bobby Reid, he gets the winning goal to send us to Wembley. Genuinely love the guy to bits. And also, I just wanted to quickly mention the brilliant video that came out from the club, João Palhinha with
wonderful,
absolutely brilliant stuff. I mean, it's whatever Palhinha does in his future. I think if he goes in the summer, I think we can just hold our hands up and say you've been a brilliant servant for us for 2 years. I think the guy and all the squad who engaged with him, absolutely brilliant, and it's just another reason why this club is the best to support Joe. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I felt that last night as well with the unity of the team and the fans. Liverpool are one of these clubs that they'll win more than we'll ever dream of winning in terms of silverware. But I don't think that you can merit the connection that we have to this team and this club as some of these Big Six fans will experience. And that's no detriment to them. That is the nature of supporting a club that is slightly different in terms of expectations. And moments like that, I think, really show the importance of clubs like Fulham being in the pyramid and being involved. And I loved that video with it was young Emmett, who wants to be a commentator. Yeah, I think Gentleman Jim had him in the box with Jamie Reid for the West Ham game. So obviously he scored 5 goals. If you now listen back to that commentary, you can actually hear him shouting in the background when we score, which is just fantastic. Loved that video. And I despite the result, I loved last night as well, and really excited for the atmosphere on Saturday against Chelsea. In terms of the score, Jack,
here we go.
I mean, I have to say, I don't fear Chelsea. I don't fear them. And that's something that I don't normally say because, normally we do, especially with how it normally goes when we go to the Bridge. It's the best chance to beat them other than last season in our lifetimes. We sort of agreed on that, whether it's better this season or last season is up for debate.
Yeah.
But we've got a chance. And you know what? I think we're going to do it. I think this is the year. I'm feeling positive.
Wow.
And I think that we're going to go there and we're going to get Poch sacked by winning 2-1.
Wow. Poch sacked after Fulham raised hell at the Bridge. I was at Brentford, Chelsea for my sins earlier this season at the Bridge. And now Brentford have won back-to-back games at the Bridge. And I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if Fulham just did that? And by the way, all 3 performances, they merited it. I think they were brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
They held out Chelsea the first half. They got the goal through, I think, Pinnock in the second, and they scored that goal on the break when the keeper was out. That was, I mean, If I had to gun to my head, if I had to pick a winner for that game, it would have been Brentford, just because I found it quite funny when Chelsea lose and all their fans lose their heads around me at the bridge. Wouldn't it be nice, as Sky always say on their adverts, we could just go there and get a result? I don't think we're going to win, unfortunately. I just think that we put in such a monumental effort last night that it might.
I would be happy with a draw, by the way, Jack.
I think we'll draw
the same. Yeah,
1-1. And I think, unfortunately, we'll score first and concede. I bet Cold Palmer now scores. Now I've slagged him off, but probably from the penalty spot. But I think 1-1 is a respectable result. And of course, we're in a position right now where, yeah, if we lose, it's a bit disappointing, but it's not going to drag us down into 17th and 18th. It'll be disappointing. But if we were to win and go to 27 points, Joe, hey, this is a pretty fine season, isn't it? It's pretty fine.
Yeah, and as I said for the Newcastle game, and obviously it didn't age well because we did lose 3-0. So I'm not going to say it again, but let's just say I would sacrifice a result in this game.
400-0?
I think it was 400-0, I said. So, I wasn't far off, but I would sacrifice anything for the cup final. And I agree, Jack, with what you said about the atmosphere at Anfield last night compared to what we're expecting at the Cottage. And part of that is that this is the norm for Liverpool, whereas for us, this means everything. This is a real opportunity. I hope it becomes the norm. We've had 2 great cup runs in 2 seasons now. And regardless of how last season ended, it was so fun getting to the quarterfinals, the FA Cup. And it's been even better going to all these trips, seeing everyone filling up away allocations midweek up north twice in a row, just before and just after Christmas. I've loved it. And I really hope that we do give everything on and off the pitch against Liverpool, but also at the Bridge on Saturday.
Absolutely. I think it points to the fact that I will say this, we do have a good fan base.
Yes.
We do, but only when we want to be a good fan base. It's almost like we do pick and choose the occasions. And I do think that if we were to consistently bring numbers like we did last night, I know it's obviously a much bigger allocation, but to sell out allocations up and down the country, we'd get a lot more respect for it. And I think this whole thing, Paddy Power taking the piss out of us when Willian scored last night, I don't know if you saw that, just incredibly boring stuff.
Yeah.
But also, we are a massive club. I'm not saying that with tongue in cheek. We are a huge club. And the numbers we took last night, the amount of youngsters that love going up to support Fulham, we've got loads of youngsters going now. Ever since I started going, there's been a whole new breed of fans that have come through, and they're brilliant. They make noise. They're reasonably well behaved, but when they want to be. But of course, Chelsea at the weekend, so mind yourselves.
No, behave how you want. Well, actually, no, sorry, mind yourselves.
Do not. Really do not.
Actually, season,
Just be careful, because don't let one erratic thought or saying or anything ruin your future of attending football matches. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's just disappointing. It would just be disappointing for yourselves and obviously your family and stuff like that. Joe, that's that for today. We will speak next week, reviewing whatever happens at Chelsea, and then we've got a little break, so maybe we could just focus on that Chelsea game. Hopefully, we will focus on it in positive light after picking up 3 points at the Bridge.
100%. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. And if you're watching at home, the Green King Sports Pub, wherever it may be, enjoy it. And then we've got a little break before the absolutely massive clash against Liverpool.
Huge. Just finally, it would be remiss if I didn't mention it. I have to say that for a mixed pub, where of course the Arkles, the world famous Arkles, is predominantly an away pub for those when you go to Goodison Park. When you're at Anfield, I didn't actually realise this until a couple of days ago. They let Fulham fans in, and everyone was absolutely sound. Liverpool fans mingling with Fulham fans, it was absolutely brilliant. The drinks were cheaper than when we went up for Everton. I paid $9.70 for 2 double pink gin and lemonades, which is mind-blowing. You get one down here for about 13 quid. And of course, the chip shop afterwards, where head was slightly gone, but I thought I need something to cheer me up. The curry sauce and chips with sausages, which is an odd choice, was absolutely sensational. And the staff were brilliant. Everyone was in high spirits. It was just we lost, but I just thoroughly enjoyed going up to Merseyside yet again. I think the Arkles, for me, is the best pub in the UK.
You know what, mate? I agree.
It's a Green King.
And I'm gonna closely follow it after last night with the Brick. I love the Arkles, and the Arkles is top tier. Just after it is the Brick, and one of the reasons I like the Brick is because it's an Everton pub. And last night there were actually some Everton fans just drinking in there when we arrived, when it was a little bit sparse in there, and then it started to really fill up. And by the end of the night, as we were about to leave and the team music just come out, we were teaching the words of Viva El Fulham to the Everton fans who were singing along and booing the Liverpool players as they were shown coming and arriving at Anfield on the TV, which was just sensational. Brilliant. But Jack, I agree with your Arkle shout. I think it is sensational.
It's a great establishment. The staff are brilliant, very friendly. Liverpool fans are great, which is nice because I've always had this mindset that Liverpool fans are, they travel up from London and they get on, but the locals, they're sound, and I really respect, given everything that's happened in the history between Liverpool, Everton, and back in 1989, like genuinely just a very wholesome place to be. Lovely community, and it's nice to speak positively about opposition. Joe, we've rattled on. Thanks so much for being here, mate.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching, and come on Fulham.
Yeah, literally come on Fulham, because we're playing Chelsea and then we're playing Liverpool, so it would be appropriate just to say come on Fulham.